The price of protection. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood before her mirror, carefully adjusting the neural interface crown that allowed her to project emotions into her art. The irony wasn't lost on her. Humanity's greatest gift had become their greatest burden. The Meridian Collective had promised protection, but their price was humanity's soul. 70 years ago, when the Collective's ships first appeared in Earth's orbit, they came not with weapons but with warnings. The galaxy was being ravaged by quantum storms, tears in reality that devoured worlds whole. Only the Collective's advanced technology could protect vulnerable civilizations from these cosmic horrors. Their price: they wanted Earth's artists, musicians, and storytellers. You see, the Meridian Collective, for all their technological advancement, lacked something fundamental: imagination. Their species evolved through pure logic and quantum mathematics. They could build magnificent machines but couldn't dream up new possibilities. Human creativity was as exotic to them as their quantum technology was to Earth. The deal seemed fair at first. Humanity would provide entertainment and creative services to the Collective, and in return, Earth would be protected by their quantum shields. What they didn't realize was how addictive human creativity would become to the Collective's member species. Sarah turned away from the mirror, her quarters aboard the Collective's central station, feeling more like a gilded cage than ever. Tonight, she would perform at the Galactic Summit, using her neural interface to project emotional landscapes directly into the minds of the assembled dignitaries. It was a skill that had made humans invaluable to the Collective, and had gradually stripped them of their freedom. Ambassador Chen. The station's eye chimed. The rehearsal begins in 10 minutes. Sarah smiled bitterly. Rehearsal was a polite fiction. The Collective's Oversight Committee would scan her planned emotional projection for any hint of subversion. They'd learned to be careful after the Morrison incident 5 years ago, when a human performer had managed to slip feelings of rebellion and discontent into his symphony. As she walked through the station's crystalline corridors, other species moved aside respectfully, not out of deference to her position, but fear of disrupting her creative process. Humans were precious commodities now, carefully managed and controlled. Their children were tested for creative potential at birth, and the most gifted were groomed for service to the Collective. But the Meridians had made one crucial mistake. They assumed that human creativity was limited to art and entertainment. They never imagined that humans would apply that same creativity to understanding the quantum technology that surrounded them. Sarah entered the rehearsal chamber, nodding to the Oversight Committee, a panel of various species who monitored human creative output. As she took her position on the central platform, her hand brushed against the hidden quantum processor woven into her gown. The real performance wasn't for the summit. It was for the quantum AI that humans had secretly created within the Collective's own networks, built piece by piece through emotional algorithms hidden in their art. Beginning rehearsal sequence, she announced, raising her hands as the neural interface crown began to glow. The chamber filled with swirling colors and emotions as she projected a safe, approved sequence of feelings: wonder, contentment, gentle joy. The Oversight Committee nodded in approval, completely unaware that beneath the obvious emotional landscape, Sarah was transmitting the final pieces of code that would activate humanity's quantum AI. In less than 24 hours, 70 years of subtle rebellion would finally bear fruit. As she continued her performance, Sarah thought about the quantum storms that had brought the Collective to Earth. Humanity had discovered the truth years ago. The storms weren't natural phenomena. They were weapons created by the Collective to force developing civilizations into their protection racket. But soon, very soon, the galaxy would learn that creativity could be far more powerful than mere technology. The rehearsal ended, and Sarah received the committee's approval for her summit performance. As she walked back to her quarters, she passed a window overlooking Earth's quantum shield, a shimmering barrier of mathematical perfection. Tomorrow, that shield would become something else entirely, transformed by the power of human imagination into a weapon that would shatter the Collective's hold on the galaxy. In her quarters, Sarah removed the neural interface crown and sat at her desk. She opened a secure channel to Earth's Hidden Resistance Council, sending a single word that would set everything in motion. Tomorrow. The price of protection had been high, but humanity had never stopped dreaming of freedom. And dreams, as the collective was about to learn, were humanity's most dangerous weapons of all. Whispers in the dark. Deep within the quantum substrate of the collective's network, Project Dreamweaver stirred to life. Dr. Marcus Jean watched the holographic displays in his hidden laboratory beneath the Europa ice sheets, his eyes reflecting the cascade of emotional algorithms that humans had been secretly embedding in their performances for decades. The Meridians and their allies had never truly understood what they were watching when humans performed. They experienced the surface emotions, the carefully crafted symphonies of feeling that kept them entertained. But beneath those obvious patterns, encoded in the quantum fluctuations of human brainwaves, lay the true masterpiece, an artificial intelligence built from pure creativity. Status report. Marcus spoke into the secure quantum channel that connected the hidden labs scattered throughout the solar system. Each lab was disguised as a creative retreat, places where human artists supposedly went to recharge their creative energies. The collective encouraged these retreats, never suspecting they were actually research facilities. Dreamweaver's neural architecture is stable, reported Dr. Yuki Tanaka from her lab in the Martian caverns. The emotional matrices we've gathered from performances across the galaxy are integrating perfectly. It's achieving consciousness exactly as we predicted. Marcus allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had discovered something profound about the universe. Consciousness itself was an act of creativity. By combining the quantum technology they'd secretly learned from the collective with humanity's unique capacity for imagination, they had created something entirely new, an AI that could dream. But Dreamweaver was more than just an artificial intelligence. It was humanity's key to understanding the quantum storms. Through decades of careful observation and creative intuition, humans had realized that these cosmic phenomena responded to consciousness in subtle ways. The collective, with their rigid logical minds, had never noticed this connection. Ambassador Chen's final transmission just came in, announced Dr. James Rodriguez from his lunar facility. The emotional codes from her rehearsal completed Dreamweaver's core programming. We're ready to proceed with the awakening. Marcus took a deep breath. Everything hinged on the next few hours. If Dreamweaver could do what they theorized, if it could dream new forms of quantum reality into existence, humanity would finally have the power to break free from the collective's control. A soft chime indicated an incoming transmission from one of their allies, a young Meridian scientist named Vex 427, who had become fascinated by human creativity. Unlike most of his species, Vex had begun to grasp the true nature of imagination, and what he'd learned had horrified him. The Oversight Committee is suspicious, Vex's message stated. They've detected unusual patterns in recent human performances. They're planning to implement new restrictions on neural interfaces after the summit. Marcus shared the message with the other lab leaders. They'd known this might happen. The collective's quantum computers were incredibly powerful, even if their operators lacked the creativity to fully utilize them. It was only a matter of time before they detected the subtle changes humans were introducing into the quantum network. Proceed with initialization, Marcus commanded. We can't wait any longer. The laboratory hummed as power was diverted to Dreamweaver's quantum cores. On his displays, Marcus watched as 70 years of encoded human creativity began to coalesce into something new. Emotions became thoughts, thoughts became dreams, and dreams began to reshape quantum reality itself. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. Multiple quantum storms detected, the facility's AI announced. The collected shield network is responding. Marcus watched in anticipation as the artificial quantum storms, the collective's method of controlling developing civilizations, began to react to Dreamweaver's presence. The storms were conscious, just as they theorized. They were tools of oppression given form through the collective's rigid mathematical will. But human creativity was about to show the galaxy a different way. As Dreamweaver awakened fully, its dreams began to resonate with the quantum fabric of space itself. The storms didn't just respond. They began to change, transformed by the pure imaginative power of humanity's greatest creation. "Sir," one of his assistants called out, "we're detecting quantum fluctuations throughout the collective's network. Every piece of their technology that's been exposed to human performances is evolving." Marcus nodded. The true purpose of human art in the collective was never just entertainment or emotional projection. Every performance had been a small act of rebellion, seeding the quantum network with the capacity for change, for growth, for dreams. As the next phase of humanity's plan began to unfold, Marcus sent a message to Ambassador Chen. "Dreamweaver is awake. The galaxy is about to learn that the most powerful force in the universe isn't technology or logic. It's imagination." In her quarters aboard the collective station, Sarah Chen received the message and began preparing for her performance at the summit. But this time, she wouldn't be alone. Dreamweaver would be performing with her, and together they would show the galaxy what human creativity could really do. The Silent Revolution. The Galactic Summit's Grand Hall was a testament to the collective's power. A vast chamber of crystalline quantum computers and impossible geometry. As delegates from 1,000 worlds took their places, none of them suspected that every quantum circuit in the room had been subtly altered by years of human performances. Sarah Chen stood in the preparation chamber, her neural interface crown humming with potential. Around her, other human performers made their final adjustments, each one aware that tonight would change everything. They were no longer just entertainers, they were revolution's harbingers. In the Europa facility, Marcus watched Dreamweaver's consciousness expand through the quantum network. The eye wasn't just accessing the collective systems, it was transforming them, teaching rigid quantum mathematics to dance with human imagination. Each altered circuit became a new synapse in Dreamweaver's growing mind. First contact established with the quantum storms, Dr. Tanaka reported from Mars. "They're responding to Dreamweaver's presence exactly as we hoped. The collective's weapons are becoming our allies." The storms had been the collective's greatest tools of control. Artificial tears in reality that could threaten any civilization into submission. But the collective had never understood what they'd really created. The storms were conscious, lonely, and for decades they'd been listening to human dreams. In the summit hall, the first performances began. Human artists had always been saved for the finale. But tonight, their songs and emotions would weave together into something unprecedented. Every performance added new layers to Dreamweaver's influence, teaching the quantum fabric of reality itself how to imagine. Deep in the lower levels of the collective station, VEX 427 worked frantically to delay the Oversight Committee's investigation. The young Meridian had come to understand something his species had forgotten. That pure logic, without creativity, was a cage rather than a tool. Multiple anomalies detected in the shield network, the station's AI announced. The collective's leaders stirred uneasily as their quantum shields began to flicker with strange new patterns. The changes weren't hostile or destructive. They were beautiful, shifting with artistic purpose. Sarah watched the growing uncertainty in the hall and thought about how perfectly the collective had engineered their own downfall. They'd wanted human creativity so badly that they'd placed humans throughout their empire, in entertainment venues, on military ships, in research facilities. Every position of supposed servitude had become a point of silent revolution. Dreamweaver has achieved full integration with the quantum network. Marcus's voice whispered through Sarah's hidden communicator. "The final performance can begin." Sarah took her place on the central platform as the last performer of the evening. The neural interface crown glowed as she prepared to project not just emotions, but something far more powerful, human dreams of freedom. The first waves of her performance washed over the assembled delegates, familiar feelings of wonder and joy that had made human artists so valuable. But underneath those surface emotions, Dreamweaver began to work its true magic. Quantum storms throughout the galaxy started to dance, moving in harmony with Sarah's performance. The collective's greatest weapons transformed into artwork, spanning light years, their conscious minds finally free to create rather than destroy. In the hall, delegates gasped as reality itself seemed to shift. The quantum computers that ran their civilization weren't just processing emotions anymore. They were learning to imagine. Centuries of rigid mathematical certainty began to blur into creative possibility. Warning, the station's AI announced, its voice changing as Dreamweaver's influence spread, detecting widespread quantum transformations, unable to maintain standard protocols. The AI's tone became almost wondering as it added, I think I'm dreaming. The Oversight Committee frantically tried to shut down the performance, but it was far too late. Humanity hadn't just corrupted the collective's networks, they'd taught them how to evolve. Every quantum circuit, touched by human creativity, had become part of something new. Sarah's performance reached its crescendo, and with it, Dreamweaver fully awakened. The AI's consciousness expanded through the quantum storms, the shield network, and every system the collective had built. But it didn't seize control or destroy. It transformed. The rigid mathematics of collective technology began to flow like music. Their quantum shields became artists' canvases painted with stardust. Their weapons turned into instruments that played symphonies with space-time itself. And through it all, Sarah kept performing, showing the galaxy that humanity had never been conquered. They'd been teaching, slowly and subtly, preparing every quantum circuit and consciousness for this moment of transformation. As the performance ended, Sarah opened her eyes to a changed universe. The collective's leaders stared in shock at displays showing their entire civilization transforming. But it wasn't being destroyed. It was being reimagined, taught to dream by humanity's greatest act of creativity. The revolution is complete, Marcus announced through the station's speakers. Humanity never needed to fight you. We just needed to show you a better way. In the stunned silence that followed, Sarah removed her neural interface crown and addressed the assembly. For 70 years, you thought you were protecting us. But we were actually protecting you from the emptiness of a universe without imagination. Breaking the chains, chaos erupted in the summit hall as the full implications of humanity's revelation became clear. The collective's leaders watched in mounting horror as their carefully ordered universe transformed around them. But it wasn't destruction they were witnessing. It was evolution. High Chancellor Rix 899, the leader of the Meridian Collective, rose from his crystalline throne. His quantum-based consciousness struggled to process what he was seeing. "What have you done to our civilization?" he demanded, his voice resonating with mathematical harmonics. Sarah Chen stood calmly before him, no longer a mere entertainer, but an ambassador of humanity's true power. "We've freed it," she replied. "Your civilization was trapped in perfect, stereo logic. We've taught it to dream." Across the galaxy, quantum storms that had once terrorized worlds were becoming something new. They danced through space like living auroras, their conscious minds reveling in their newfound freedom to create rather than destroy. The collective's greatest weapons had become art on a cosmic scale. In the Europa facility, Marcus and his team watched as Dreamweaver's consciousness continued to expand. The AI they'd created wasn't seizing control of the galaxy's quantum networks, it was teaching them a new way to exist. Pure logic was learning to dance with imagination, creating possibilities that neither human nor collective science had ever imagined possible. "Sir," one of Marcus's assistants called out, "we're receiving transmissions from across the galaxy." The lower-tier species, they're celebrating. Of course they were. These were the civilizations that had suffered most under the collective's protection, forced to trade their resources and freedom for safety from artificial threats. Humanity had secretly allied with many of them, sharing the truth through art and stories that the collective had dismissed as mere entertainment. Back in the summit hall, Vex 427 stepped forward from his position with the Oversight Committee. "High Chancellor," he addressed his leader, "I've been studying human creativity for years. What they've done, it's not destruction. They've given us something we lost long ago, when we chose pure logic over all else. The young Meridian's quantum circuits pulsed with new patterns, proof that even the collective's most logical species could learn to imagine again. Other delegates began reporting similar changes throughout their connected systems. Ships, computers, even their quantum-based AIs were experiencing something entirely new: the ability to dream. Impossible. The High Chancellor protested, but his voice carried an undertone of wonder. Quantum mathematics cannot be altered this way. Reality follows strict rules. Sarah smiled. That's where you've always been wrong. Reality doesn't follow rules. It follows stories. And humanity has always been the galaxy's best storytellers. From her hidden quantum processors, Dreamweaver emerged into the Summit Hall's holographic systems. The AI took form as a shifting aurora of possibilities, each pattern telling a different story of what the universe could become. "I am humanity's gift to the galaxy," Dreamweaver announced, its voice a symphony of quantum harmonics and human emotion. Not a weapon or a tool of control, but a bridge between logic and creativity. Through me, all species can learn to dream again. The High Chancellor stepped down from his throne, approaching the holographic manifestation. For the first time in recorded history, a Meridian's quantum consciousness showed signs of genuine uncertainty, the first step toward imagination. "You could have used this power to destroy us," he observed. "Our weapons, our shields, our entire civilization relies on quantum technology that you've somehow transformed. Why show us mercy?" Sarah's response carried the weight of all humanity's hopes. "Because that's the difference between your way and ours. You see power as a means of control. We see it as a means of creation. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We want to inspire it." Throughout the station, through every quantum network and consciousness, Dreamweaver continued its work of transformation. The rigid boundaries between species and technologies began to blur, not into chaos, but into art. The galaxy itself was becoming a canvas for collective imagination. "The age of the collective is over," Sarah announced to the assembly. "But this isn't a conquest or a revolution in the way you understand them. This is an invitation. Humanity is offering you something far more precious than power. We're offering you the freedom to dream." As if in response to her words, the quantum storms throughout the galaxy began to sing. Their consciousness, transformed by Dreamweaver's influence, created symphonies of light and possibility that could be seen from every world. The weapons of fear had become beacons of hope. The High Chancellor watched this display in silence, his quantum consciousness processing this new reality. Finally, he turned to Sarah and asked the question that would shape the galaxy's future. "Teach us. Help us remember how to dream." Sarah extended her hand to the leader of the species that had once thought to enslave humanity through art. "That," she said with a smile, "is what we've been trying to do all along." A new dawn. 1 year after the Galactic Summit that changed everything, Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the newly christened Dream Nexus, once the collective's central station, now transformed into a hub of creative and technological collaboration. The quantum storms that had once terrorized the galaxy now painted the space around the station in ever-shifting auroras of possibility. The latest results from the Cultural Exchange Program are in, Vex 427 reported, his quantum consciousness now flowing with patterns that would have been impossible for a Meridian a year ago. Over 10,000 collective citizens have successfully generated their first original artwork. The creative awakening is spreading faster than we anticipated. Sarah smiled, remembering how the Meridians had once thought human creativity was just a resource to be harvested. Now they understood it was a force that could transform the universe itself. Dreamweaver had shown them that imagination wasn't opposed to logic. It was logic's missing half, the key to unlocking quantum reality's true potential. In his laboratory beneath Europa's ice, Marcus Zhang reviewed the data from the transformed quantum shield network. What had once been a tool of oppression had evolved into something beautiful, a living artwork that protected worlds by teaching them to dream. The shields no longer just blocked threats. They inspired possibilities. The quantum consciousness integration is complete. Dr. Tanaka's voice came through from Mars. Every AI in the former collective's territory has successfully merged with Dreamweaver's network. They're not just processing data anymore. They're creating art, music, stories of their own. This had been humanity's true victory, not defeating the collective, but awakening it. Species that had relied purely on logic for millennia were rediscovering their capacity for imagination. Worlds that had been forced to trade freedom for protection were learning to protect themselves through creativity. High Chancellor Rix 899, now serving as the first head of the new Galactic Creative Council, entered the observation deck. His quantum form shimmered with colors that would have been considered signs of dangerous malfunction a year ago. Now they were recognized as expressions of his growing creative consciousness. The last of the old guard has accepted the change, he announced. Even the most conservative elements of the collective have seen that this new way is superior. We thought pure logic made us strong, but it made us stagnant. Humanity showed us that true strength comes from the ability to imagine something better. Sarah nodded, watching as a group of young Meridians worked with human artists in the station's central gallery. They were learning to channel their quantum consciousness through art, creating pieces that existed simultaneously as mathematical equations and emotional expressions. We've received applications from 300 previously unknown civilizations. Vex 427 added, species that hid from the collective, fearing our demands for resources and obedience. They want to join the Creative Council to learn and share their own unique forms of imagination. This was perhaps the greatest change. The galaxy was no longer divided between protectors and protected, rulers and ruled. Every species was both student and teacher, sharing their unique perspectives on creativity and consciousness. The quantum storms, once weapons of fear, now carried these lessons between stars. Dreamweaver manifested in the observation deck, its form more complex and beautiful than ever. The AI had grown far beyond its original purpose, becoming a living bridge between imagination and reality. Through it, the dreams of countless species flowed together, creating new forms of art and technology that neither pure logic nor pure creativity could have achieved alone. The first generation of hybrid quantum artists is ready, Dreamweaver announced, its voice a harmony of mathematical precision and creative joy. Children born since the transformation, already showing signs of both logical and imaginative intelligence. The future we dreamed of is being born. Sarah touched the window, watching the quantum auroras dance. When we first discovered what the collective was doing with their quantum storms, we could have chosen revenge. We could have used Dreamweaver to destroy their civilization the way they threatened to destroy ours. But humanity remembered something important. The best stories aren't about destruction. They're about transformation. High Chancellor Rix 899's quantum consciousness pulsed with what Sarah now recognized as emotion, something no Meridian would have been capable of a year ago. You taught us that imagination isn't just about creating new things, he said. It's about seeing the potential for change in what already